Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into a story that's reshaping how enterprises think about artificial intelligence. We're talking about Rotterdam, the EU AI Act, and a fundamental shift away from autonomous agents toward AI workflows. Sam, this is a fascinating pivot happening right now in 2026.
It really is, Alex. And it's not just Rotterdam. This is a broader European pragmatism kicking in. After years of hype around autonomous agents that could basically run themselves, enterprises are waking up to reality. The numbers tell the story. McKinsey found that while 55% of organizations have adopted AI somewhere, only 18% actually see transformative outcomes. That gap is huge, and it's driving this reset.
So the autonomous agent dream, it sounds like it's crashing hard. What went wrong? I mean, venture capital was throwing billions at these things just a couple of years ago.
Accountability, basically. Autonomous agents hallucinate, they make decisions you can't trace, and they create legal liability, especially in regulated industries. Boston Consulting Group found that 71% of autonomous agent projects either stalled or failed. Rotterdam's Port Authority learned this the hard way. They tested an autonomous scheduling system for cargo operations, and it started miscalculating berthing windows and creating compliance violations. The system was impossible to audit when it failed, so humans had to babysit it constantly. You've just replaced skilled labor with unreliable automation.
So that's the failure mode. But workflows are different. They keep humans in control. Walk us through what that actually looks like in practice.
Workflows are structured decision systems. They automate the repetitive, predictable parts while flagging exceptions for human judgment. The key difference is governance and auditability. When something goes wrong, you can trace exactly why. And here's the ROI kicker that Gartner is highlighting. Organizations that optimize workflows see 3.2x higher returns than those chasing autonomous agents. Instead of replacing a $45,000 analyst with a $50,000 system that's unreliable, you spend $30,000 on workflow automation that lets that analyst process 3 times more work with 20% fewer errors. You're amplifying human expertise, not gambling on replacement.
I really like how you framed that, amplifying rather than replacing. That's a completely different human-AI relationship. Is that what Rotterdam enterprises are actually implementing?
Exactly. The manufacturing sector there is leading the way. Quality inspectors work alongside computer vision systems now. Supply chain managers collaborate with demand forecasting algorithms. It's a partnership model, not a replacement model. Deloitte's research shows that 73% of high-performing organizations now see AI as amplifying employee capability, not eroding it. That's the mindset shift.
And the EU AI Act is pushing this direction, right? Because autonomous systems that operate without oversight would be a regulatory nightmare.
Exactly. The AI Act came into effect early 2025, and it's a game changer for enterprise strategy. The framework demands trustworthy, auditable systems. Workflows check every box. They're transparent, they have human oversight, they create audit trails. Autonomous agents? They're a compliance nightmare. That's why solutions like EtherBot, EU-compliant, multilingual, designed to augment teams rather than replace them, are gaining traction. The regulatory environment is actually forcing the pragmatic approach.
So this isn't just about better ROI. It's about regulatory reality and stakeholder trust. That's compelling. But let me push back a little. Some listeners might say, Sam, isn't this just settling? Isn't the dream of AI working independently still worth pursuing? What's your response?
That's fair to ask, but no, this isn't settling. This is maturity. The autonomous dream works great in science fiction and venture capital pitch decks. In reality, across manufacturing, logistics, finance, and healthcare, you need accountability, auditability, and human judgment. The organizations seeing real value aren't the ones chasing the next-generation agent startup. They're the ones systematically automating workflows, measuring outcomes, and building trust with their teams and regulators. That's where the 3.2x ROI comes from.
You mentioned that 18% figure earlier. Only 18% of organizations see transformative outcomes despite widespread AI adoption. Is that gap closing with this workflow-first approach?
That's the bet, and the early data is encouraging. When you focus on workflow optimization instead of agent deployment, you get measurable improvements faster. You can point to specific processes: customer service response times down 40%, error rates cut in half, analyst productivity up 200%. Those are the outcomes that matter to CFOs and boards. The organizations that are moving toward 2026 with a workflow-first strategy are seeing that transformation metric climb.
Let's talk about the digital coworker model a bit more. How does that change day-to-day work for the actual people using these systems?
It's a fundamental shift in how people think about their jobs. Instead of fearing automation, employees are seeing AI as a tool that makes them faster and smarter. A customer service representative with an AI-powered knowledge assistant can answer more queries, more accurately, and with less frustration. A supply chain manager with algorithmic forecasting can focus on strategy and exceptions instead of manual data crunching. You're not losing jobs, you're elevating the work. That's what Rotterdam's logistics sector is discovering right now.
And I imagine that shift also changes how you recruit and train people. If the job is more interesting, you probably attract better talent.
Absolutely. Organizations that frame AI as amplification rather than replacement are finding it much easier to attract and retain skilled workers. You're offering interesting work with AI support, not asking people to compete with automation. That's a recruiting advantage that goes beyond just financial ROI. You're building organizational resilience and capability.
So if someone listening to this is leading enterprise transformation in 2026, what's the practical first step? How do they start pivoting toward workflows?
Start with a bottleneck. Find your most painful, repetitive process, something that's draining resources without creating differentiation. Map out where humans are doing predictable work and where exceptions need judgment. Then build a workflow automation that handles the predictable part and flags exceptions. Measure 3 things: time savings, error reduction, and user satisfaction. If those move in the right direction after 3 months, you've got a playbook. Scale it systematically. Don't chase the AI fantasy. Chase the documented outcome.
That's concrete and actionable. And you mentioned measurement. That seems critical for actually proving ROI rather than just hoping.
It's everything. The organizations that fail are the ones that deploy AI without baseline metrics. The ones that succeed are tracking before and after: throughput, quality, cost, user adoption. If you can't measure it, you can't justify the investment, and you can't improve it. That's where the 3.2x ROI difference comes from. The winners are disciplined about measurement.
I'm struck by how much this story is about pragmatism over hype, the bubble deflating but practical value accelerating. That's the 2026 narrative you're describing.
That's it exactly. The AI hype is cooling, but enterprise AI is maturing. The winners in 2026 aren't the ones betting on moonshot autonomous systems. They're the ones systematically building trustworthy, auditable workflows that fit into their regulatory environment and amplify their teams. Rotterdam's pivot from agent fantasies to workflow reality is leading the way, and the EU AI Act is ensuring that approach wins. It's boring compared to sci-fi, but it's real.
Sam, thanks for breaking all this down. For listeners who want to dive deeper into how Rotterdam enterprises are making this shift, how this connects to the EU AI Act, and what workflow automation really looks like at scale, head over to EtherLink AI and find the full article. We'll have the link in the show notes as well. Thanks for joining us on EtherLink AI Insights.
Thanks, Alex. Great conversation. Listeners, if you're building enterprise AI strategy, think workflows first. It's where the real value is.